Hello and greetings to everybody here in 2024. Talking to you from Cebu City, the Philippines. And this video looking off across the Mactan Straits over to Mactan Island from Cebu City. I've been doing a little bit of research on flights and other travel information, and this video is about that information, that discussion, and a little bit about traveling here in the Philippines. Forgive my voice. I think New Year's Eve day, I went to the very packed supermarket to get some stuff, and boy, it was packed with people, and may have picked up some kind of bug. I've had a little bit of a cough and kind of a head cold, congestion, sniffles, that sort of thing. Feeling better this afternoon. Another day or so, I should be real close to 100%, I think. Hope. I've gone to a couple of flight research sites like Google Flights, Google Travel / Flights, and checked out prices on into the distant future. And I was really quite surprised. I thought prices would be much higher than what they are. You can use Google Flights is one of the sites where you can check out months in advance to see what tickets run for. I also have signed up for their alerts, and I got alert today that for $321 I could fly from Los Angeles to Manila. $321 on several days in June. And boy, that really surprised me on one of the Chinese airlines. And you can sign up with Google or other sites to get notified for that sort of thing. Anyway, even here in Cebu City, we have the huge Sinulog festival going on. It culminates the third Sunday of January, but for the week or more before that, there are different events going on. And even during these weeks, I thought there would be higher rates, but most of those people who were traveling came in December, I think. The OFWs, not oversized Filipino workers, the overseas Filipino workers probably came back to visit family in December, or maybe staying another month to see the Sinulog. Other types of number of places that have festivals throughout the first couple months of the year. And many cities have, there's many events going on throughout the year all around the Philippines. The Philippines remains one of the easiest places to visit and actually stay up to 3 years on a tourist visa. Of course, you have to renew that tourist visa. You need to use an agency or go to a immigration office, which there are dozens of them around the Philippines, to extend that tourist visa. But you can stay up to 36 months, 3 years, before you have to leave the country for a day, and then you can return, start that all over again. Also, many other types of visas, which are there's a little bit of a process that takes place. That marriage visa, work visa, SRRV, the special retirement visa. It's really special, really good deal for especially retired or honorably discharged military personnel, especially from the U.S. If you plan on traveling here, some of you are familiar with the ETravel Form you have to fill out online. And yes, that's something you're supposed to do at least 72 hours or sooner before leaving for the Philippines. And if you haven't done that, they will ask you to do that when you arrive. And be careful if you've got an attitude when you land. If you've had a bad flight, bad experience. A number of months ago, I did a video about I think it was an American that got sent back to America. He had an attitude when they asked him to fill out that information. They say threw his passport at him and tried to fill out the form. He used some curse words on the form, something like that. So they said, "Sorry, pal, you're not welcome here." And they asked the airline to take him back wherever he came from. So be careful with that attitude. It's up to their discretion whether they allow you in the country, like it is with most countries. If they see a problem with you, countries don't have to let you in. And yeah, I got on Google Flights and a couple other sites, and I was really surprised. A lot of the flights throughout the many months in advance, between $400 to $600 for a one-way ticket to the Philippines from Los Angeles, LAX airport there in Los Angeles. It seemed to be a little bit more expensive from San Francisco, and of course, depending upon where you're at, you probably have to take a flight or drive to Los Angeles, or if you're going the other way out of the east coast of the U.S., of course, would be a different price. And that arriving in the Philippines, people from most countries in the world, not all, some countries have, like India and Israel and a couple others, I think, are supposed to apply for a visa before they arrive. They get a special, different type of treatment. But people from most countries, and you can go online and check if your country is in that list, you get a 30-day free visa on arrival. A visa on arrival, which means you do not have to apply for a visa before you fly to the Philippines. You show up, you're courteous, they stamp your passport. Now, your passport should be good for at least another 6 months when you arrive. That is one of the requirements. And you should have an ongoing ticket within 30 days because they're giving you a 30-day stay. But like my airline asked me that before I got on the plane in Los Angeles originally, 2 different times. Do you have your ongoing ticket, your return ticket or ongoing ticket within 30 days? And I've had different people say different things about this. Philippine Airlines states on their website that it has to be within the first 30 days. Other airlines, if you have a return ticket, even later than that, apparently they don't care as long as you have some other ticket showing that you're going to leave the Philippines at some point in time. And of course, then you can always extend your tourist visa as well. So some people call that ticket, they buy the cheapest ticket they can, and they call that a throwaway ticket because they will never use it. Now, there are some airlines that will charge you a little extra. You put that on your credit card, you don't use that ticket, they will charge you a little bit extra. There are a couple different companies that will sell you these ongoing tickets for, I don't know, 40, 50 bucks, I think. I originally found an ongoing ticket, I forget, going from Angeles City to, I forget even where it was, over in Indonesia someplace for like 50 bucks, and did not use it, but I had that ticket. Once you get to the Philippines, really is quite inexpensive traveling almost anywhere in the Philippines, whether you take another plane ride, and there are lots of airports available around the country, even over on Panglao Island, Bohol, very popular tourist area. A number of different areas. Palawan, you can go up there. You can fly close to, or you can fly into Puerto Princesa. You can fly up north. I think it's called Calibo, and take a ferry across to popular Boracay Island. I don't think they have an airport yet. All of the major cities here have pretty good airports, and many of them are internationally. Although after this government crisis that we had for a couple of years, they're still ramping up. They don't have as many international flights as they did before 2020, and that is an ongoing process. And just interesting enough, from before Christmas to January 1st, it's amazing. I had a relative of a friend who was coming over from Bohol Island over to Cebu City, and there were no ferry tickets available except in business class, and they were very limited. So instead of a few hundred, they had to pay like 800 pesos each, even for the children, for that. It's still relatively cheap, but expensive for many of the Filipinos. Now, if you're traveling from the airport by taxi, there are a few hotels that have shuttle services. Check with your hotel to see if they have a shuttle pick you up. There are bus services that run from the Cebu airport, and I'm not sure how they're set up in Manila. There are a couple different types of taxis here in Cebu City. There's white taxis, which are your most common around the city. There are the yellow taxis, which are airport taxis. They usually go back empty to the airport. They charge about twice as much. And you've got the larger executive type SUV type taxis that can haul more people and more luggage. Um, they're all relatively expensive, whereas a white taxi from the airport over to Cebu City, uptown area, might cost 400 pesos, let's see, about $8 for that 30-minute to 45-minute ride. Um, a yellow taxi will maybe be 16. Still, once I get to the airport, after I've spent $1,000 or more on everything else traveling, that $8 or $16 isn't that meaningful to me. I want to get to my destination as soon as possible. If I get on a bus, which I know some of you have, you save a couple pesos, but then they're going to drop you off at a mall someplace, and then you're going to have to get a taxi from there. So in the end, you might save 100 pesos, $2, $3, $4. If you don't mind that, you want to go to the mall, get something to eat, great, go for it. You can rent a taxi, in fact, for the day, for 8 hours, going out if you want to take a day trip someplace or just take a trip and then go off to another island. Out of Cebu City, usually the quotes are anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 pesos. Um, $60 to $80 for a day. For a day. 8 hours. So really quite inexpensive to travel. And some of these taxi drivers are pretty good. And taking you around, they might take you one place and then say, hey, you want to go see the waterfall up here and do this and this. Some of them are very helpful. Taxis in Cebu City, I've found, are very honest most of the time. Occasionally I'll get ones, especially down at the ferries. They know you're just coming in. They presume you're a tourist, don't know much better. They'll quote you a price, for instance, from the ferry to the uptown or to the Isle Mall. Maybe it'll cost you 100 or 150 pesos. They'll quote you 250 pesos, something like that. The airport, same thing. They might quote you. Just ask them to use the meter. Otherwise, go to the next taxi. But generally, either way, it's relatively cheap. If you want to travel for cheaper than that, you have buses. You can get on a bus. But now they've got air-conditioned buses and they've got non-air conditioned buses. So understand what type of bus you're getting on if that's important to you. And it's not a fast trip here. What would take an hour to travel in many places in the U.S. might take 3 hours here, just because of the traffic, and the roads are 2-lane winding roads up and over the mountains. Just depends on where you're going, so it takes longer to cover relatively short spaces. We do not have trains in Cebu Island anymore. They were all destroyed during World War II. Manila area has trains, and they are expanding that network up there. They've got freeways up there, and you'll find that each island is a little bit different. What type of transportation you have? You have buses, or you have V-hires, which is van for hire, and a lot of those run regular routes, and they'll charge you the same or a little bit more than a taxi for a route where you're packed in there, a 12 to 15 person van, and then maybe they'll stuff 18 people in there, and you're literally sitting in each other's laps almost. The air-conditioned bus generally is more comfortable, and generally they've regulated them a little bit, their speed and everything over the years. Generally, they're a little bit safer and more comfortable riding. Some of the van drivers, they get really aggressive, passing where they shouldn't be passing. But really up to you what kind of experience you want. There again, for a bus on Cebu Island, which is kind of a narrow, longer island, 200 to 400 pesos should take you almost anywhere. 200 being being $4, 400 pesos being about $8 for what 3-4 hour ride. Really inexpensive. And while you're looking off there in the distance over towards Mactan Island, at a little bit of rain over there, I will tell you my experience. Uh, 2 trips, 8.5 years here in the Philippines. The climate varies a little bit around the Philippines, but my experience in this part of the world, the Philippines, is that when it rains, it generally rains 20, 30, 40 minutes, and then it stops. And just like that cloud over there, it comes across, it dumps some rain, and then it's partly cloudy or sunny the rest of the day. And so it shouldn't stop you from doing whatever you want to do. If there's a storm coming in, no, 2023 was a very quiet year as far as typhoons. I think we had about half the number of storms come into the Philippine area that normally come in. Normally about 20 named storms. They could be tropical depressions on up to typhoons and super typhoons. About 20 on an average year. This year, I think about 11 named storms uh, came into the what's called the Philippine Area of Responsibility, and they started tracking them. When you're at the airport, be sure to get smaller bills. If you go to a money exchange, they will give you probably 1,000 peso bills, which is about $20. And a lot of these taxis, other services will tell you, "Sir, I don't have any change." And you'll be giving out a very large tip. So be sure they give you some smaller change when you do that. Exchange like $100 at the airport, and then you can worry about the rest of it later. Anyway, my voice is starting to give out on me a little bit here, so I'm going to end it here. A lot to love about the Philippines. The friendly, welcoming people, very important, and the ease of travel. Anyway, see you next time.